our intelligence was able to intercept the telephone conversations of Russian officers when they admit that, and they say it was not a strike of Himars or any kind of multi-launch rocket system from Ukrainian side. It was just ammunition from inside, and the fire was from inside. I believe the Russians, despite the declarations, will not allow real independent investigation involving the UN or the Red Cross or any other institutions, at least for a few days before they clean up all the consequences of their own actions.
But you're saying that you have clear evidence that it was Russia that carried out this strike?
Yes, and it was said officially by our intelligence and our authorities, and we are ready to represent that to any independent institution.
What is happening in the Donetsk region that has prompted this call from the president for people to evacuate the area?
It's clear that the Russians, being unable to really offend according to their plans, they switch their motives and intentions, and they try to impose fear and horror on both the soldiers on the front line, Ukrainian soldiers, and the society at large. Because the sample you mentioned just yesterday, when they killed more than 50 of our soldiers imprisoned, it's clear example of terrorist activity, no doubt here. They hide their wrong deeds in terms of imposing violence on the captured Ukrainian soldiers, and that one be stopped. That's why the president is applying to the civilians to leave the regions where the warfare will be rather tough.
Clearly, there is a Russian onslaught in that area, but is this, in a sense, an admission of defeat, an admission that you simply can no longer defend Donetsk?
Let's go back a few months ago. We remember, and you remember, when the world was counting days before the Russia will take over Ukraine, Kyiv, and the whole country. We were able to withstand, and now we are able, with support of our allies and supporters in the West, to start counteroffensive to liberate the currently occupied territories, and Putin can do nothing with that.
But you're not able to defend the Donbass region, Donetsk at least.
They tried to move up to the administrative borders of both Donetsk and Lugansk, according to the establishment and declaration of independence of so-called Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic. They were unable to. We stopped them. And now we are ready to really launch counteroffensive, releasing, first of all, our southern regions to get access to the sea, moreover, to help the world to avoid famine because of the close grain supplies in those ports. And later on, we will go to Donbass and Donetsk.
Let me ask you about that attack which you mentioned on the centre holding prisoners of war in Olenivka. We understand that at least 50 people may have died there. Is there any progress on the move to allow independent investigators onto the site? Because Russia has actually blamed Ukraine for this attack, hasn't it?
They always try to do it, but Ukraine has no real intentions, even if we can imagine any worse kind of ethical scenario, because all those soldiers were real fighters. They were defending Ukraine. Maximum what they can disclose for the enemy, let's say, to punish them for that, is their plans of protection of Azovstal or Mariupol, which was a month behind. So nothing is a basis for Ukraine to launch such a strike. Moreover, our intelligence was able to intercept the telephone conversations of Russian officers when they admit that, and they say it was not a strike of Himars or any kind of multi-launch rocket system from Ukrainian side. It was just ammunition from inside, and the fire was from inside. I believe the Russians, despite the declarations, will not allow real independent investigation involving the UN or the Red Cross or any other institutions, at least for a few days before they clean up all the consequences of their own actions.
But you're saying that you have clear evidence that it was Russia that carried out this strike.
Yes, and it was said officially by our intelligence and our authorities, and we are ready to represent that to any independent institution.
And how hopeful are you that an independent investigation there can take place?
I'm not very hopeful, as no one can be, because we see that neither the UN nor OSCE were able to really do something to stop the aggression. They always express concern, very big concern, but that doesn't help. So no real hope here. The biggest hope is for our soldiers and for allies like you. And having this chance, I want to thank very, very much the people of the United Kingdom and the government of the United Kingdom. You're not fighting with us, maybe a few volunteers, but you are saving Ukrainian lives on a daily basis. Lives of not only our soldiers on the front line, you are saving lives of women, life of children, and any other innocent civilians that Russians are trying to target all over the country on a daily basis, everywhere. So thank you much for that.
Well, let me just ask you briefly, if I could, Anatoly. As you know,
Yes,
Boris Johnson is leaving office. Are you confident that whoever wins the contest to replace him, either Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak, that you will continue to get the support and the equipment that you need?
No one can be confident. I just want to be, at least hoping that the choice of his party and, in fact, the choice of the British voters will be such that the country that is one of the great 5 countries in the world with its great history would be quite responsible for not only itself, but for the Europe and the world at large. Because normal development of either Ukraine or the UK will depend on the peace and normal economic and other connections throughout the globe. So I hope that the newly appointed Prime Minister will be in line with that understanding as well.